Hello, this is Trevor Lewis, and this is another video from the Voyager Middle School STEAM Lab. Today we're going to do a project where we have to fit with a real-life object, and we're going to use a revolve to make the object, because if you spin it around, it should look the same all the way around. So what we're going to make is a knob. You can make a knob like a doorknob or like a drawer pull, which is the part of the drawer that sticks out that you grab a hold of and pull. You can make a replacement for these. They can be useful for things to 3D print that you need to actually hold on to. But if we were in person, I'd be having you measure something and make sure it's the right size. But since we're not in person, I'm going to give you the option of making one that goes on the end of a pencil, because pencils are pretty much usually all about 7 millimeters. Here, the metal part on the end is maybe a little bit bigger. So when we're going to measure with the caliper, we're going to call that 8 millimeters, and we're going to make our hole 8 millimeters. So hopefully, what that will do is give you something that you could put over the end of a pencil. Sometimes when you're making something that fits with reality, you need to do a couple of 3D prints. Maybe the first one's a little snug or a little loose, and you need to adjust by 0.5 millimeter here or there. If you really want a tight fit, you need to get within 0.1 millimeters or 0.2 millimeters of 100% accurate. And our 3D printer, the way it works with its tolerances is it has a tendency to shrink a hole a little bit or expand a little bit when it 3D prints, because it's 3D printing right on the line, and the thickness of the plastic actually increases on the outside or decreases of a hole. So that's what we're going to do. I'm in xDesign right here. I'm going to 3D print this with the hole facing down on the build plate. So I'm going to start by sketching in my YZ plane. So I'll select the YZ plane first, and I'm going to look at it straight on by choosing normal 2 here. And then I'm going to start by sketching with just a straight line tool. And I'm going to start at the origin here and go up. And so since I'm revolving, I need an axis, a center axis. So I'm going to just draw a center line like that. And I'm going to hit the escape key because I don't want to keep drawing right there. So I've got this line. It exists now. I'll make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to draw a shape that I want to revolve here. But then I'm also going to cut out a part here so that there'll be a spot for the pencil to fit in. So maybe that'll be more obvious once I start drawing. So you can use the Spline Tool. You can play around with some arc tools. You can use some straight line tools. You're going to just draw some sort of shape, and you're going to end up down here and come straight over. So I could even just draw in my straight line down here at the bottom first. Just give myself some working room there. And then I'm going to use the Spline Tool. The Spline Tool is pretty intuitive. You just click where you want to exist. So this is something you're going to touch. So you probably don't want a lot of sharp corners. Depending on how much style you want on it, you can add more or less detail. You might want to think about how you're going to end here, because if you go like that, then it'll have a dip in the middle. So you might want to just think about that as you're going, so that if you want it to sort of not have too much of a dip in the middle, you want it to end sort of smoothly. That's kind of going down a little bit. The cool thing about the Spline Tool, oops, let's see, no, yes, I can move things around after I've done them. That's interesting. It's just a click, and nope, it's a click and drag, but then, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so click and drag, you can click and drag these points. And it looks like you can also change these anchors on the spline. Although whether it's a click and drag or a click, like I'm not clicked right now, is a little bit unclear to me. Oops. I'm gonna undo that one. So here's my profile. I like it pretty well. Now I'm gonna get rid of this area in here. Okay. So this is where I'm gonna go back to my straight lines. And I want to come up a certain amount and go in and then down. And remember that this is only half, because when I revolve it, the other part of the hole is going to end up over there. So I'm going to hit the escape key. But one thing I might want to do is I want to get rid of this line and this line. So I'm going to show you a new tool. It's this trim tool over here. So the trim tool I really like, and all you got to do is click and drag over the lines you don't like, and the lines just disappear. So by clicking and dragging, I've cut those 2 lines. So now I've got that part cut out. Now, in order to make this fit in real life, I need my diameter to be 8 millimeters, which means this line should be 4 millimeters long. So I'm going to grab my sketch dimension tool, and I'm going to click on this line, and I'm going to drag down, and you can see it's right now it's 19 millimeters, which is way too big. I'm going to choose 4 millimeters, but since that's the only dimension that I put in, everything else will scale down to that, so it won't stretch things out. It's just made my sketch so that that distance is 4 millimeters, and when I revolve it, it will be 8. Okay, so I can close my sketch because I like it now, or I can go straight into features and choose revolve, because if I do that, it knows I'm using this sketch as part of my revolve, and it actually fills it in under sketch profiles. The center line down the center is my revolve axis, so I'm going to click on this center line. That was why that line can't be a spline. It's got to be a regular line. So now you can see that there's that hole. You can get a preview of what it looks like, and I'm just going to hit the check mark. So I've got a nice flat bottom. I've got an 8 millimeter diameter hole, and I've got a knob. It's pretty simple. We're going to 3D print it and see if it fits. If we can get it to fit exactly, we can take a picture of it. That will give us a little bit more. The other thing that I'm going to say is, if you wanted to go above and beyond here, you could do something like you could trim off pieces or add extras to this by using some other techniques. So for example, if I'm going to put this on a pencil and I don't want the pencil to just roll off the desk, I could come in here and sketch. Let's grab this plane right here, and I'm going to sketch on this, and I'm going to put that right in the center. I'm going to cut off everything outside my hexagon here. So I'm going to draw my hexagon very intentionally to just cut a few flat facets. Okay. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle around the outside of that whole thing. So I have this sort of complex sketch here. And then I'm going to extrude it. But I only want to extrude this contour. Can I get that? Nope, not there. Let's see if I can get just this part. Yeah, see, there we go. And see, now it's just barely touching those sides, but it's set to add. I don't want to add, I'm going to cut. And then it'll just cut off those little parts of my knob, and I will hit check. There we go. Added a few little flat facets. I'm not sure if I like the look of that better or not, but there you go. There's a little bit above and beyond for you too.